on to my chair.
You
It's
did.
the only reason I didn't do the hand thing.
I was gonna say you didn't do the hand thing, and your what was way toned down from what it normally is.
Well, had some
So-
things going on, so. But it's okay. It's okay.
No, and it was okay because I think we finally heard both me and Eli balanced out with you.
Yeah. I guess sometimes I do need to tone it down. I'd be so excited, though.
I know this is your baby.
It is. This is our baby.
Yes,
We had a baby
So,
together, and its name is Wait What Sports.
as Eli takes out the bell. We didn't even make it
Was it
5
not out?
minutes. No, it wasn't. We didn't even make it 5 minutes, Gina. 5 minutes.
Tell me it's not true, though. Okay, then. He can't say anything.
I mean, what can he say? He's got his sports show with his brothers.
So, Anyway, so I'm Gina,
I'm Amy.
I'm Dr. Robinson.
Paging Dr. Robinson.
paging Dr. Robinson. Come, orange phone, Dr. Robinson.
By the way, we may be saying that a couple of times throughout the episode because we
Yeah.
are recording during the very first Browns game of the season.
Oh, gosh. And he's already
Unfortunately,
been...
because I would have
I
liked to have seen
discovered
it too.
NFL Plus for $4.99 a month. So I get the radio, and then I get the live feed.
And
from
we go off on tangents.
every single
So
game.
question. Is it available on my Amazon Fire Stick?
Yeah, I think it is.
Because previously I could only do it on my phone, and I was like, gosh darn you, I don't want to play everything on my phone. I want to watch it on my TV.
Right.
And I don't get all the local stations because, well, my antenna doesn't pick them up. And so I can only watch the games that are on CBS because I have Paramount Plus.
Oh, yeah, because you can't get Fox. I can't get Fox all of a sudden either.
I can't get 19. So I just
Really?
had...
It's
yeah.
just the way that our houses are situated in comparison to the towers. I used to have no problem getting Fox, and then all of a sudden
It's because in between my house and the towers is that big hill known as Cleveland Heights.
I forget about that. So it's just like
and they don't have enough power, so PBS literally just built a new tower with a signal booster.
no wonder. Okay.
So now you can get channel 25 PBS WVIZ on 25 or on channel 30, and I get it on channel 30 because that's where the signal booster is.
Because sometimes I'll get a few times the Fox does come in, it comes on at like 10, which is weird. But anyway.
Yeah. It's because it's bouncing from something else.
I miss analog. I'm just gonna say that. Like I understand the whole the way they do it now is supposed to be more efficient and
what it did is
power
it opened
saving.
up the radio airwaves for emergency responders.
Okay.
That's why it happened after 9/11.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's a reason for it.
It's just annoying as hell. That's all.
But it does make life a little bit more complicated. So, Eli, you have to research for me if I can do NFL Plus on my Amazon Fire Stick because $4.99 a month isn't really all.
It's
that
not that bad. When the basic Netflix plan costs you like $12 or something now, or whatever it is. No, $14.50 I think, or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, anyways.
Yes. So today we are clearly
probably will have to page Dr. Robinson at some point in time because he is watching the Browns game.
No, I'm not. I'm listening to you guys, and I'm playing my phone.
So that means you're watching the game.
So let me see. Anytime we see Eli looking down and smiling,
right? Or anytime we see him go.
So,
okay. Disclaimer: you may hear yes. That's Dr. Rose.
I don't sound like that.
Yeah,
if
you do.
hear interception
or any random
or fumble. It's probably Dr. Robinson because we are not watching anything, Gina.
No, we are professionals.
So am I. I can multitask.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay,
so moving on today.
Last time we gave you a behind the scenes look. And we wrote down some of Gina's questions. And afterwards we were like, okay, we definitely need to go over position players.
Absolutely.
And what the positions are and other random terms that can be used to identify these positions and players. Although, as I was watching the pregame and the first half of the game before coming into the studio, I kept sitting there going, oh, there's another term I need to write down. But my notebook was upstairs, and I was downstairs. And I did that thing like, I'm going to go and get my notebook at the next commercial break. And by the time the commercial break came around, I would forget about it. And then they would say something else.
Were the commercials that good?
No, I was just absorbed in doing other things.
You were like, I just got to get this done before the game comes back on.
There were other things that I was doing, and I totally would not even realize a commercial break had happened. Because I was cleaning and all sorts of stuff.
And then all of a sudden you're like, and we're back. What?
So we are going to go over the offensive player positions.
Yes.
At this point. So I did actually break these up into some things in terms that you may hear. And I color-coded my notes.
I saw your rainbow notes. So I was like, oh, yay. Look at you.
Wow.
So everything on the back page matches color codes here because I ran out of room. So.
Now, do you understand, people, when I tell you why I chose her to do this with me? How much more proof do you need?
So, things that you'll hear about if you listen for any amount of time to sports radio, especially in the preseason, are things like the quarterback room, the running backs room, the wide receivers room.
You should see the expression on Gina's face now.
So Gina's face just progressively gets more and more confused.
Like, why do we all need our own rooms?
Well, it's kind of like, when you watch, like, The Muppets and Kermit gets more and more frustrated and his face pulls in. That's kind of what was going on. Am I wrong, Eli?
Y'all leave me alone.
You're not wrong at all.
Her face just got more and more screwed up with each one. Okay. And for whatever reason, you don't really hear about the offensive line room. But really what it is that these are all the divisions in the offense that have their own coaches and they have their own places to go and learn and study and whatever.
Okay. Do you see it? Okay, I'm going to intercept it. I'm going to interrupt on this one.
Yay, football terms.
But I always thought, like, when you watch movies and stuff, everybody's just in one big room learning. I didn't know they, like, broke them out like that.
So what you're seeing in the movies is the basic let's go over film.
Oh, okay.
But you're not seeing just the quarterback coaches working with the quarterbacks.
Okay.
Or the receivers coaches working with the receivers.
I mean, it makes sense because they're very specialized positions.
They are. So, getting back to that, we'll start with the quarterback room.
Okay. The room for the quarterbacks.
So, who all do you think is working in the quarterback room?
I would imagine their coach, probably a coordinator of some sort, because I think there's a coordinator for every specific role, right?
Right. So there is a offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator.
Okay.
Usually, sometimes the head coach is the coordinator of one of the two.
Gotcha. Okay. So is the head coach in there with the quarterbacks?
So the head coach is usually doing his thing.
Okay.
He tells the coordinators what to focus on. The coordinators tell the independent group coaches what to focus on.
Okay.
So it's like any other job you have where you've got, administration and then the managers and then the rest of us.
The little people.
So all of your quarterbacks that are on your team.
So is that your first, your second string, or I'm sorry, your first, your second, and your practice?
So you would have, you can carry up to 3 quarterbacks.
Can you?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we technically we have 3 quarterbacks on our team. One of them is, what's the name of his punishment?
He is suspended for 11 games.
Yes.
His name is Deshaun Watson.
My
Mr.
brain
Watson
could not remember the word for some reason today. It's been a long week for both me and Gina.
Yes.
Very trying. So if words aren't coming to me, I'm going to be turning to Dr. Robinson.
Good
although,
luck.
It's a 50-50 shot.
Even now.
So, yes. So we have 2 quarterbacks that are our first and our backup.
Okay.
But yes, you would have your practice squad guys in there because you may as well have them learn what you're learning.
Right, because for some, they need to know what's going on when they're out there with your actual first and second string quarterbacks.
Well, they need to know what's going on. Your practice squad is going against the defense.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
In practice.
Touche.
So they need to be able to actually do all the same things that your first and second string quarterbacks would, just not at the proficiency
Exactly.
that your first and second string quarterbacks will do it.
Okay. Makes sense.
So basically it's any staff that are specific to working with the quarterbacks.
Okay.
So what is your quarterback?
He's got to pass the ball, whether it's and he's like the head captain, I guess, for the offense.
Right. So he's the main offensive player.
Right.
So as we talked about with Jim Thorpe, back in the day, there was no forward pass.
Yeah.
The quarterback was literally the guy who just took the ball and shoved it off to another guy. Okay.
Right. Shoved it in his chest, and he just dived into the pile.
So his only job was to tell you where to run.
Right.
And what to do. So now he's the guy who's got the coaches speaking into his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever watch a game and you see the quarterback put his hands up to the hole on either side of the helmet, that's so he can hear better.
Because it blocks the sound from outside.
It blocks some of the crowd noise.
Okay.
Or there could be something wrong with the transistor in the helmet. It got hit the wrong way or whatever. And they have to change out the helmets every so often. But he's getting the plays from the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is the one who disseminates that information to the rest of the players on the field.
So he's actually calling the play for everybody on the field.
Right.
Okay.
So there's one more thing that he has to be able to do. And that is if he's getting this call in from the sidelines, but then he's watching the movement of the defensive players as they're getting set.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, this play is not going to work.
He has to be able to call a different play.
Which is called an audible.
Oh, so that's an audible. Okay. Had no idea. I've heard that term a million times. Never knew what that meant.
When you remember when Peyton Manning said, Omaha, Omaha.
Yeah.
That's an audible.
Okay. So essentially it's just them saying, okay, play's changing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
So, and then he would, he would have a code of some sort. Usually for him,
That's
it was
the code, Omaha.
Well,
for him.
For him.
Right.
But other quarterbacks uses the Omaha as well.
Right, but he has to tell them what the change is going to be. So a lot of times for him, it would be a foot action.
Okay.
So depending on how he moved his foot, told players where to move.
So very subtle, because
Yes.
at the same time, the other team can see everything you do. So you
Right.
have to be kind
Or
of...
Well, and you don't want them to
or a
necessarily
cadence
hear.
clap as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't want them to necessarily hear what you're saying. You don't want to be like, hey guys, everybody scramble 6 inches to the right. That's, so
It's like giving away the house, people.
Right. So you may, yell out your Omaha and then slap the side of your leg twice, and that tells everybody where to go.
Got it. Such subtlety.
But you have to have that peace of mind in
Right.
order to do that.
How calm do you always have to be as a quarterback? That's a lot of pressure on your shoulders.
You have to be the guy who is comfortable enough with getting hit or confident enough in your offensive line that you will stand back there and make your throws
Right.
or your plays the way that they should be so that you're not having to scramble.
Got it.
So I actually put in over here the 3 main plays for a quarterback. No, there are more.
Right,
These
right.
are the 3, quote, main, and the ones that you'll hear a lot. The forward pass, of course, which we've talked about. That's
Right.
when they're passing down the field. The scramble.
Okay. Yes.
So,
They're trying not to get sacked.
well, that's when they take the run.
Oh,
So when
okay.
your quarterback is standing back there, he's looking like he's going to pass, and then he keeps it and he runs. He's avoiding tackles for the most part. But he's looked at it and went, I have nobody open.
I have to move
I
this
have
ball.
to move this ball.
Okay.
The running back's already run past me. Shoot.
This is a last resort kind of thing.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Bernie Gahosar, not good at scrambling. Baker Mayfield scrambles a little too much. Okay. Hey, I actually like Baker. I mean, Baker's a great guy.
Ooh, Bumfield? Okay.
He's a great guy.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Man, my butt.
I don't only like players for what they can do on the field.
Yeah, as a person, you have to look at them as a whole.
Right, because quite frankly, if that's the way I felt, I would feel a whole lot different about the idiot that we got as a quarterback for this year that has himself already suspended for stupid off-field shit. Anyways.
Being a 4-time Pro Bowler?
I don't care. He's an ass. Anyways.
Don't you do it.
So
Don't dab, dab, dab.
So is Baker.
Dab, dab.
We're not doing this right now because
Off
this
the
is our
air
show.
conversation.
This is our show.
Ding yourself.
Anyways.
Yeah, that won't happen.
You can also hand off the ball. That's, handing off to your
Right.
running back. There are 3 main positions that you play quarterback from.
Okay.
These are terms that you will hear. When a quarterback is under center.
Behind the center field line?
So a center is another player.
Right.
We
He's the
talked
one that
about-
hikes the ball to
Right.
the actual
So
quarterback.
if you're under center,
Uh-huh.
that's when they're standing there and their hands are actually in between the center's legs.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, when they look like the doctor about to catch the baby. I'm sorry, for non-sports people, that's what it looks like. Okay? And literally, the center hands you the ball between their legs. So,
I mean, I get it. The term caught me off guard. And the now I have a picture in my head of a baby getting passed. Okay, go ahead.
there actually was a whole comedy routine about that back in the day. Okay?
Oh my God. Okay, moving on.
So anyways, and then there are shotgun and pistol.
Okay, I've heard of shotgun. I don't know if I've maybe noticed pistol, but okay.
So what they'll say is shotgun formation or pistol formation.
Okay, I've heard those terms.
Okay. So those are variations on a theme.
Okay.
So when you're in the pistol, it is when you are positioned away from the center. So when you see the quarterback further away and the ball actually has to fly through the air to him.
Oh, okay.
So the pistol and shotgun, both of those are away from the center. The difference is a shotgun, you're further away because a shotgun is bigger than a pistol.
Right. So therefore, it goes longer distance.
Right.
Logic. Okay. I wasn't expecting there to be that much logic to that.
Logic!
I feel like I've been overcomplicating this so much, but go ahead.
Okay, so before we get too far, there's actually a rule called, and this was simplified online. I'm not certain what the actual name of the rule is, quote unquote, but it is a rule where you have to have 4 backs and 7 players on the line.
Okay.
Okay. So all the other positions, all the positions will throw into these because that's how you get your 11-man on the field for offense. Okay. So
right.
there are 11 players.
Okay.
So your quarterback is your first back.
Okay.
He's in the backfield. He's behind the line of scrimmage.
Got it.
Okay. So your next back or set of backs are your running backs, your running back room.
Okay.
Any terms you've heard of running backs before that you have questions about?
What's a running back? What's the...
First off, the running backs.
They run.
The running backs are the guys that are handed the ball most of the time, and they just run. So Hunt, he was the one that was playing most today. I can't remember.
Dr. Robinson. Pay attention. Paging Dr. Robinson.
You mean Nick Chubb?
That's the other one. I was like, it begins with a C, ends with a B. It's not Cub.
You need an H in there, and you'll be all right.
I told you it's been a long week.
So they get the handoffs.
They get the handoffs.
Okay.
They can also catch, so Chubb does that a lot. There are special terms for different types of backs.
Right. Okay.
So, first one that you hear often enough, especially if you're watching a Browns game, is that they'll make mention several times during a game about how the Browns don't have a bell cow running back.
Oh, what?
Yeah. I knew what it meant, but I had to look up, how we got this term.
Okay, so if I was just a layman, which I am, I would think a bell cow meant like those like hefty big guys.
No.
See, yeah,
So
I went a whole different direction with that.
so the bell cow, when you are a cow herd, is the cow that you tie the bell onto at the front of your line of cows.
Okay.
He's the leader.
Okay.
So a bell cow running back is your go-to running back. The guy you want in there 95% of the time.
Right.
Well, because we've got two backs on the Browns that are evenly matched, and they both run in different ways, but they can both have 100-plus yard games.
Right.
We don't really have a bell cow. We don't have a guy that we're like
that
every
one
single
go-to
time we're handing the ball to you.
That's an advantage, though, right?
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Okay.
Because a lot of places, a lot of guys want to be that bell cow, and they throw hissy fits if they're not.
Really?
Yes, that's what happened in Pittsburgh a few years back. Yeah.
So it's interesting that we have two. Do they butt heads? They're good with each other.
They actually became really good friends.
Wow.
Not at all. Chubb and Kareem Hunt is they're best friends, and actually both of them complement each other.
They do
as far as like
their skills.
As their skills.
One is more straight up and down, north south.
Yeah.
On the field, and one goes more east west.
Well, not east west, but Kareem Hunt. Well, Kareem Hunt is more of a pass catching running back.
Okay.
He's good at catching the ball and running after yardage. On the other hand, Nick Chubb is a north south runner,
right?
And you get in his way, he'll blow you up.
So they'll say that Chubb is that north south guy.
Yeah.
Meaning that he's the guy who's going to run straight to the middle of the field. He's not going to look for something off to the edge.
That's if he sees a hole right in the middle, that's the man to give it to.
Yeah. So like if he's back there, the offensive line is trying to create a hole
for him to just go
where he's standing, for him to just sew a needle through.
Right.
Okay. Not only that, but he's a little shorter and he can just hit that low punch.
Yeah.
To get through the legs.
Okay.
Okay.
Little guy.
I mean, I don't know that I would say he's little. He's a little shorter, like 3 inches. Okay.
Hey, that's significant in football.
Hunt will do more of the east-west game where he's looking to the edges.
Right.
That's why he's also really great at being the guy that you throw the shovel pass to, which, again, is another type of pass that we didn't talk about with the quarterback.
I wasn't even going to ask.
Like, your face was like, huh?
I was trying to just let it go by. Move on.
But, sometimes your running back is the guy who takes the heat off the quarterback.
Okay.
If the receivers that he was supposed to throw to aren't open, but one of your running backs is and he can catch, you might throw it to him.
So you have to be sort of multifaceted in that role.
Yes.
You don't have to have the best hands, but you got to have some reliable
and there's
ones.
Particular names for each of the types of running backs.
Touchdown.
No, actually 3 points, field goal.
Oh, I knew that.
So, on any given play, there can be up to 3 backs on the field.
Okay.
Okay. Or you could have what's called an empty backfield.
Which is when you don't have any of them?
You don't have any running backs.
Really?
So you can have no running backs because there's other players that will move into the backfield. We'll talk about it.
Okay, we'll get there.
But you can have up to 3.
So you can't have Chubb and Hunt on the field at the same time?
You can.
So technically the quarterback is one of those. So those would be the 3 in the backfield.
No. There's 4 in the backfield. Quarterback is always back there.
Okay.
And you get 3 additional players in the backfield.
Oh, okay.
So you could have 3 running backs.
Got it.
They would be in different positions along the line.
Got it. Do we have other running backs?
We do.
Like big name,
we have
reliable?
I think they said 7 running backs in the running back room this year.
Yes, but one is deactivated today.
Yeah,
but those other 2 running backs beside Chubb and Hunt, that would be Jerome Ford as rookie out of Cincinnati, and Dominic Felton, which they line up as a wide receiver.
Okay.
And then Johnson is the one that's deactivated right now.
Got it. What's that mean? Side note.
Injured.
Got
no,
it.
he's
Or
not.
sick.
He's not injured. They just needed to bring up an extra lineman, so they deactivate a player.
Oh, because you can only have 53 active players on your
Yeah.
roster.
Exactly.
So
I remember
there was
that.
somebody else who was injured, and they needed to bring somebody up for that position because 2 people in that position were injured.
Got it.
So they didn't really go into it in the pregame show about
Okay.
like why he wasn't there. They just said that he was on.
They just call it a
He's
They
deactivated.
just call it a healthy scratch. Honest, he's
Well, they
he's
didn't
healthy, but he's just
They
deactivated.
didn't even say that on the shows this morning. They actually had him just on the deactivated list with all the other injured players, and they're like, we're not really certain why he's there.
On the local
Got it.
broadcast, they said he was a healthy scratch.
Oh, I was watching
Yeah.
5. They didn't say it on 5, and they're the official.
Channel 19.
It's interesting how everybody refers to things differently.
Well, and like I said, I was watching Channel 5. They're the official Browns pregame show.
Yeah.
Local, sanctioned by the Browns. And they were like, yeah, we don't know really why he's not active.
Right.
So, but anyways, we have a ton of backs on our team. Normally you don't have that many backs. But we're a run heavy team.
Yeah.
So we like to do that.
Okay.
So 3 types of running backs that you will hear a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
This first one, there are 2 terms.
Okay.
You used to hear one of the terms way more often back in the day, and then the second term is a newer term. It's the tailback or the halfback.
I've heard of those. Okay.
Like I said, you don't necessarily hear them talk about a tailback quite as often nowadays.
Yeah.
But usually this is your main ball carrier. They're also that check down, release valve, shovel pass guy for the quarterback. So that is Kareem Hunt is basically our halfback.
Okay. So wait, are the tailback and the halfback 2 different
No,
positions?
it's one position.
Just 2 different names, but they just
terms.
refer to them. Okay.
Yeah,
Different.
like I said,
now.
the first term appears to be an older term. Halfback is what you hear more often.
Okay.
Okay, so the second type of running back is your fullback.
Okay.
They're bigger and stronger, and they can act as a blocker.
Okay.
Okay. Chubb would probably be close to a fullback, only because of his strength. And he does act as a blocker a lot of times, especially when it is a pass play. He acts as another blocker for the quarterback.
Okay.
Okay. And then your wing back.
Oh, never heard of that.
This is when your back, instead of being lined up behind or next to the quarterback, is lined up outside the tackle or the tight end. So it pretty much means that they are going to either be blocking or catching.
Okay.
But it just has to do, again, with where they're lined up.
So it's, again, very play specific.
And usually that's your third running back if you've got.
And that
3
makes sense.
outs.
If he's the wing back, he's on the outside, right? So he's
on the wings.
He's the wingman.
He's on the wings.
Oh,
of the
he's the
line.
quarterback's wingman.
Well, not only that, or I like to think of it in theater terms where he's on the wings of the stage.
Got it.
So he's on the wings of the line. Don't be. Are you scrunching your face up at me or the game?
Could be a combination of both. Who knows?
Combination of both.
You gave him an out.
Okay, I'll be quiet from now on.
Okay, so the wide receiver room.
Okay. That's where all the actual wide receivers and their coaches are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So wide receivers are
The people who actually run out for the pass.
yes.
Got it. Okay.
So they're the ones that catch the ball
Those are the ones that I feel like I hear about more often than anybody.
because they're the flashy ones.
Yeah, the ones who are like, whoa, did you see that catch?
Right.
Yeah.
Your Odell Beckhams.
Right.
You know, those guys. So there are different types of wide receivers.
Okay. I didn't know there were because you only ever hear them say, like, wide receiver.
Well, again, a lot of it has to do with where they're lined up for a play. It's play specific. So
Okay.
you'll hear slot receiver.
Okay, I've heard that. Slot receiver. Got it. Okay.
Okay. So this is when your receiver is lined up between the outside receiver and the line.
Okay.
So you'll have an outside receiver. So along your line.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all of your line players, which we'll talk about.
Right.
Okay. And then you'll have like a tight end and then a receiver and then an outside receiver. That guy who's lined up in between is your slot.
Oh, so he's the slot in between the two.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
The wide back.
Wide back. Okay.
He's a receiver who can also play running back.
So he's multifaceted.
He's multifaceted.
Got it.
Okay.
There's a lot of like overlap.
There is, because you want your guys to be able to do a couple of things. You want them to be able to,
Be flexible within the...
Right, within the plays.
Right.
Only because if you've got somebody that can do two different types of things...
Right.
Then the defense always has to be thinking, oh, God, is this guy going to be running or catching?
So it's kind of like a psych out. Got it. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Your tight ends, they are a hybrid player. Are you going to ding yourself?
Yes. Go ahead and do it, because you would have dinged us.
No.
There was your ding. I dinged you for you.
So, tight ends.
Okay.
In Cleveland, we know the tight end position well because for years, our leading receiver was our tight end.
Yeah.
For years. Okay. So, tight end is a hybrid player.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cross between a wide receiver and an offensive lineman.
Really?
Yep. So, he's a big guy. He'll take some of those shovel passes, those short passes.
Okay.
He's not the speedy wide out that's going all the way down the field and cutting across and all of that. Okay?
Got it. Okay.
He is a bigger guy. He may be able to get in between the defensive areas, the defensive zones, and be able to catch a shorter pass.
Okay.
But he also definitely acts as a blocker for those run.
So he's
games.
more of the wide receiver who blocks for his fellow wide receivers. But if there's a short enough catch, he can get it.
He'll block for other wide receiver, but he definitely blocks for the running backs.
Okay. Okay.
He is big enough to act as a lineman for the running backs.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense. Making sense.
He's a nice beefy guy. Although not as big as your lineman.
Yeah, they're a whole beast by themselves.
I gotta say, I mean, Joe Thomas is like way thinned out now. He wasn't unhealthy big before.
Yeah.
But he'll even say the weight that you have to have, even if it's a lot of muscle weight, the weight you have to be a lineman would not have been healthy for him to continue on when he wasn't playing. That's why he lost over 150 pounds.
Okay, so on the field is great. Off the field, not so much. Okay.
And
Is
some guys will come back after the off season having lost weight and having to gain weight to continue to be on the line.
So is there like I guess an ideal weight that a lineman has to be at, or like
most of your linemen are over 250.
Okay.
In fact, most of them are over 300, I think.
Is that muscle?
300 is the max, or 370 or 378.
Yeah.
Okay.
So usually somewhere 300 and up.
Whoa.
And it's a combination of muscle and fat.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at those guys, there's no way they're getting into the kicker's uniform.
No. Those bellies are real.
The kicker's uniform wouldn't fit over one calf muscle.
Right? If they get it above the knee, you're doing something.
So, the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. At the center of the line is the...
Center! That was easy. Where's the easy button? Sure, that was easy.
So he's the guy in the center of the line.
Mm-hmm.
He does what with the quarterback back in the ball?
He hikes the ball to the quarterback.
Uh-huh. And he's the main blocker for the quarterback.
Okay, that makes sense because he's right in front of him.
Right. So the moment he snaps the ball, his job is to stand up and guard.
Got
and
it.
push the defensive players.
So they
away.
have to be quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They also have to not be too quick because, if you snap the ball before all the players are set, it's a penalty.
which we we talked about that last week. Okay, I'm not gonna bring it up.
No. I mean, it happened today too. Where,
Did it?
Well, no, not a crazy snap, but they were watching the play clock, and the quarterback called for the snap.
Yeah.
Not realizing that there was a couple of players who weren't quite set, and the center also did not notice that those players weren't quite set, and so he snapped the ball. And
okay, before you actually stop the ball, nobody can be in motion anymore, right?
Right.
Okay. I didn't
well,
think
there
so.
are certain players that can be in motion, but they have to, So
Those are the few people you see, like, still. Are those running backs usually who are, like, scrambling to the sides back when you see them?
I'm not certain. I have to look into that.
Or does it depend on the play?
You can be in motion, especially the tight end.
I was going to say, I
Okay.
couldn't remember
Tight ends
which
can be in
position
motion.
it was that could be in motion, but I knew that there was one position that
That could be moving. Okay.
But if you don't have basically the majority of your players set to the line, then it's a penalty.
Okay.
Okay. So then we have guards.
Okay.
There are
got it.
2 of them. There's the right and the left.
Okay. Makes sense.
Okay. They are immediately to either side of the center.
Okay.
What do you think the guards do?
Block.
They are basically what helps form that pocket for the quarterback.
To be able to scan the field.
So
and
if the guards don't do their job, the pocket collapses really quickly.
So this is when you get your quarterbacks being sacked because they don't have that initial protection from the center and the guards.
That's when a fast sack will happen.
Okay.
There have been times where quarterbacks have been sacked and they've had a ton of time to sit back there just because nobody's come open and they're like, and they don't think enough, or they know that they don't have enough time left to throw to the sidelines. So,
Gotcha.
And, if you're injured or you're not a scrambling quarterback, you're not going to think to scramble. And then you have the tackles.
Okay.
The tackles are outside of the guards, both right and left.
Okay.
And their job is to block for the running back, wide receiver, or tight end.
Gotcha. Because that makes sense because they're farther out, so they're the ones who are going to be blocking for them to be able to maneuver further upfield. Okay.
Right. Now, if it's a running play, as we talked about, sometimes your guards and everything aren't going to really be... They're going to be trying to push open a hole for the running back rather than protecting the quarterback. Because at that point, if they know it's a running play, they know the quarterback doesn't have the ball anymore. Most of the time, the teams know the quarterback don't have the ball anymore.
So their focus shifts.
Everybody's focus shifts to the running back.
Got it. Okay.
So that is the majority of the offensive line.
I think it's so funny that, like, I never realized that there were so many people behind the quarterback. I'm so used to the action moving forward away from the quarterback that I don't pay attention to the people in the backfield.
Well, the backfield isn't behind the quarterback. It's behind the line. So if your quarterback's in the shotgun position, he's only going to be, like, parallel with you.
Oh, okay. So nobody's ever actually behind the quarterback.
No.
Everybody's either lined up in front of him or, like, next to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parallel lines, too.
Got it. Okay.
Sometimes, like, if he is under center, they'll be, like, 3 yards behind. But parallel, not actually, like, straight behind.
I wonder when he's under center versus... Oh, well, I guess it just depends on the play.
Yes. So depending on what kind of play they've called and blah, 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 that, and what kind of quarterback you are. There are quarterbacks who are more comfortable under center, and there are quarterbacks who hate being under center.
Oh, that makes sense. Especially if you're more of a passing quarterback versus, like, a running quarterback who hands off the ball more often than passes it. Is there quarterbacks who prefer one or the other?
That's what I'm saying is that there are quarterbacks that can't stand being under center.
Okay.
They feel like they can't see enough of the field
to make good play. Okay, make good calls.
So they like being more in the shotgun formation. What you also might find is that if a quarterback doesn't trust his line, he may prefer to be in shotgun because he's further away from the line of scrimmage anyways in that formation.
Yeah.
So
is that why? Would you say that's something that Baker Mayfield had issues with?
He had always played shotgun and pistol, like, all through school.
Yeah.
They actually talked about, like, when he was here, that all of his coaches through high school and college, they were just much more and that was the style of ball they played where he grew up.
Right.
You were much more in that. And he was starting to get comfortable under center.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you've only played for coaches who did pistol formation,
you're not the learning curve is like,
you may not be all that comfortable being up along the line of scrimmage and that close to the line of scrimmage. Or, I hate to say it, but there may still be players out there that are like, I got to put my hands where?
Yeah, I can see that. It's a real thing.
So, one of the things that we didn't talk about going over, because we specifically talked about the offense and the defense, was kicking specialties.
Yeah.
The special teams. So,
do they fall not under offense or defense?
No,
they're their own thing all by themselves?
They're special teams.
Oh, okay.
So, Dr. Robinson, what's our time looking like?
We have 40 minutes.
You
of
did
the
not
show
ask-
or the game?
Sorry, the 2 minutes in the game.
No,
How much time do we have in the show?
How much time do we have left?
Oh, I'm sorry. About 20 minutes.
See, this is why you don't. I can multitask. When he said 40 minutes, I was like, he has no idea what you're talking about.
Actually,
No. He looked at the right thing.
Yeah.
He just told me the wrong piece of information. I was like, there's no way that we've only been talking for 20 minutes.
Like, man, Amy, we're hell efficient today. Wow. I'm so impressed with us.
He thought I was asking how much time have we recorded and not how much time do we have left.
Okay.
That's because,
Kids
again,
these days.
his brain's not fully with us.
Kids these days. How's the game going? Might as well ask. That quickly?
Never mind. I don't want to know.
So, moving on.
Anyways.
Yes, special teams.
Special teams.
Didn't know they were not. They were. I mean,
Yes.
I've heard of the term, but I didn't think they were truly their own. So when those people run out onto the field, are they not part of the offense or defense at all?
So some of them have offensive and defensive positions.
Okay.
Some of them are backups for offensive and defensive positions. And some of them are literally just special teams players. Okay.
Oh.
So
Okay.
my favorite, the one I've got the jersey of. Do you remember his name?
Wait for it. No. I really thought I could get it.
Josh Cripps.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. I've seen you wear it a million times.
He started off
Sometimes
as
it's real.
only special teams, and he was just a kick returner.
Huh.
And when he did his first couple 90-yard returns,
They were like, wait a minute.
They started working with him to be a wide receiver, and he was like, oh, a backup, okay?
Right.
And eventually he worked to being an actual wide receiver.
Right.
He had been a wide receiver in college, I believe. But that's what he wanted to play. But a lot of these guys will tell you, I don't care my position as long as I'm actually getting paid by an NFL team.
Yeah. They're like, use me however you see me fitting into your program and your scheme.
Like, honestly, if you want to give me a number and make me a towel boy, fine.
Just put me on the damn payroll. Quite the progression from being special teams to being like
a lot of guys basically with teams that are fully loaded with receivers or blockers or whatever else will try to get those specialized special teams positions so that they can stay on the team and continue to learn the other positions. And
so
a lot of
when
times
opens up.
teams will take a guy that they just drafted in a particular position and put him into special teams so they can keep him on the team.
So
and develop him.
Okay, so that's really what it became. Is that often that teams will go ahead and start developing those players?
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of times, if you've got a team that, again, is pretty much fully stocked. So, like, we don't need any more running backs. Okay?
Not from what I can tell.
We really don't need any more running backs. But if we went out there and drafted a guy that was, like, the next superstar, which we wouldn't, but if we did, they may find a space for him in the kick return.
Yeah.
Or as a blocker someplace in special teams.
Okay.
So that they could have him on the team in case something were to happen.
So he's still learning all the plays and all that
Right.
stuff.
And, like, we have a huge running back room, and our wide receiver room isn't as big as a lot of teams.
Right.
Okay? So we're a little backwards.
Is it just because of the style of play?
It is.
Okay.
To some extent. To other extents, wide receivers aren't as easy to find necessarily. Although running backs that are really good aren't easy to find either.
Right.
We just happen to find them.
They like being
kind
here.
of we are kind of returning to the ground and pound type of Jim Thorpe game.
Right.
You'll hear it called hard-nosed football. You'll
Right.
hear it called Central Division football, or AFC North football. It's the old style when the Browns and the Steelers, before the Ravens, when it was Browns, Steelers, and Bengals
Right.
in one division. Old style 1980s football.
So, okay, let me ask this. How do those kind of offensive plays line up against a passing team?
So, what you have to remember is that our offense is going against their defense.
Right.
And their offense is going against our defense. So, all we have to do is prepare our defense
Oh, okay, I got
to
you.
be ready for their
offense. Okay.
So, whatever their offense is, it doesn't really matter as long as our defense can catch up. And vice versa,
Right.
unfortunately. So, anyways, going into the special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Special teams is where you have your kickers.
Okay.
The smallest players on
They are
the
some
team.
itty bitty people. Like, I looked at.
I mean, I love Phil Dawson, but he's a tiny man.
And you know what is so interesting? So, just to back up a little bit, since Josh Cribbs started as or is everybody on the special teams just not as big as like?
No. Your returners and everything are going to be big.
Okay.
No. The kickers are the only ones
They're
that are
the
small.
little itty bitty people.
Yes.
Okay. And by itty bitty people, I just mean they're skinnier.
They are like 175 pounds soaking wet compared to your linebackers of 370.
That's
okay.
nuts. Yes.
So these guys, a lot of them nowadays were soccer players as kids.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Okay. Your first female kickers in college football came straight from the soccer team and had soccer scholarships.
Really?
And wound up playing football.
Interesting.
Okay. So you've got your kickers. There are different types of kickers.
Mm-hmm.
There's the place kicker.
Okay.
He's the guy who sometimes they'll call it a kickoff specialist. Usually they're calling it the place kicker. So if you see the guy where they're doing the kickoff and you've got a guy holding the ball onto a tee.
Yeah.
That is the guy who's kicking the ball.
It's
your
place kicker. So I'm going to let my ignorance show again. I thought they were just all the same person. I didn't know they had
Sometimes they are.
Okay.
Phil Dawson was. He was the kicker. Every team is looking to have one kicker because it opens up another spot on your team for something else.
Yes. Okay.
A lot of times you'll have one kicker and a backup just in case something happens to that kicker because, God forbid, they pull their hamstring in the middle of the game. Or
they get hit wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Which, by the way, there are penalties for roughing the kicker.
I've heard that.
Okay. So you have your place kicker.
Mm-hmm.
To go with your place kicker is your long snapper.
Your what?
Long snapper.
Sounds like a fish.
I'd like the red roofie and the long snapper, please.
Orange roofie.
Okay.
Okay.
Rainbow trout. So your long snapper.
Okay.
Think about what your center does.
Got it.
When he snaps the football.
Oh.
Your long snapper is a guy who specializes in that long snap that has to make it all the way back to the placeholder.
Okay.
Okay. So your kicker is what? 10 yards back, Eli? When you're doing a kickoff.
About 10 yards.
About 10 yards.
About
so
10 yards.
You've got a guy who specializes in snapping the ball 10 yards back.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. The holder also specializes in catching that snap and putting it down on the tee, laces turned the right way within 3 seconds.
Oh my God. What?
In fact, a lot of times when kicks don't go right,
It's
they
'cause the
blame
laces
the
weren't
holder
right.
because the laces weren't right, or you'll see the holder fumble sometimes when he doesn't get it up on end quite right, and then
Yeah.
it goes sideways. And
Wow. So you have somebody that specializes in that long snap. You have somebody who can specialize in kicking it and putting it right down the right way in the right position.
right, and sometimes these guys are playing other positions as well. Like I said, you
Yeah.
know,
Because you only have, it makes sense because you only have 53 people. So you have to be able to
and usually
move
they're
these
a
people
backup
around.
for something else.
Yeah.
And so those are, you know, the three parts that go with that kickoff.
Okay.
Specifically. Then you have your punter.
Okay.
Have you heard of a punter
Yes,
before?
I have.
So, what is a punter?
Let's see if I can describe this in words.
Or what are they trying to achieve?
The punter is the one, they're the ones who do the drop kick, right?
They do the drop
They're just
kick.
trying to get it downfield to the other.
They're trying to do the field goals.
Oh, okay. They're the field goal people. Okay.
So, the place kicker is the kickoff. And,
So the place kicker is like when they kick off at the beginning of the game and when they kick off when they switch. Like when they
Yeah,
run out of
after-
downs
yeah.
or whatever when it turns over.
yes.
Okay, and
Turnovers
then the
and everything.
punter is the one who actually kicks the field goals.
Mhm.
Is that all they kick?
They kick the field goals and the point after.
Got it. Okay. Again, this could possibly be the same person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because they're not in the game for a long time.
No, but it depends. Not every kicker is good at the drop kick.
Because that's a lot of timing. It's almost
It's
like when you toss a baseball up and you try to hit it yourself, like you're pitching to yourself.
It's a ton of timing. It's
Yeah.
a ton of timing and power for the leg and everything else. Okay,
Science.
so if you think about it, this is going to be the easiest way for you to remember which kickers are what.
Right.
In the Charlie Brown cartoons, when Lucy,
She's the placeholder.
she's the holder,
Poor Charles. I'm sorry.
and he is the kicker. He
Poor
is the
Charles.
place kicker.
Yes. Okay. Got it. Yeah, poor he couldn't be
Poor Chuck.
he couldn't be a punter anyway. No.
Okay, so I believe Eli was giving us a signal. A
We
minute
had
ago.
10 minutes, so we got a few more. We're
Okay.
good.
So those are the kicking parts.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'm actually going to hold off on the return side until at the end of defense,
Okay, that makes sense.
because then we can talk about, you know, the returners. But along with those kickers, I
Mhm.
will say you have a full line of players.
Yeah,
Okay, there is a full offensive line in front of you.
which makes sense. You can't just
Blocking
be
for
out
the
there all
kicker.
by yourself.
Blocking for the kicker, running after the ball, trying to block any returns, especially on, you know, the kickoffs and stuff.
Right.
So you have to, you know, think about all those players, because you still, no matter what, you always have 11 players on the field.
Right.
That's why there's a penalty for a 12th player.
Is that like when they don't get off the field fast enough, or
Sometimes they've accidentally had, like, if people aren't paying attention, there'll be like 12 players.
they're
lined up
still
on the
out
field.
there and like, oops.
Like somebody forgot to tell somebody.
Like, hey.
But that's also why Seattle's fandom is known as the 12th man, because they just create so many distractions.
Got it.
They make other players, other teams have issues.
Golly, I've heard of that term, but I didn't know the history. We'll talk about that in another episode.
But that, you know, that's a whole thing. That's why
We're going to talk about that in the football traditions episode. I think that will be a good fit for that.
right. But you know, you have that whole thing of, like, you know, there's only 11 men on the field.
Right.
So if you always just remember, there's always 11. If you see less than 11 or more than 11, there's an issue.
Got it. If I can count that fast.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I leave that to the referees.
Well, at least it's not like 105 like it used to be back in the day.
Yeah, no early rugby version football. no.
Golly, they were roughnecks. But anyway, okay, that gives me a good. Again, I didn't realize that people played so many different positions, and I didn't realize that you had to be so multifaceted for so many of them.
Mhm.
Because I guess like I'm so used to hearing wide receivers, all they do is just catch. But I didn't know there was different types of wide receivers, and even within that, you have to sometimes take on a different role depending on
And
the play.
actually, I do have to correct something.
Okay.
Okay, so when I was looking at my computer screen, because I didn't get everything written out in my notes,
Mm-hmm.
so the punter does like when they've run out of downs.
Okay.
So the kickoff is just, your place kicker. But yeah, so, and I think actually the points after are place kickers too. The article I have up here doesn't have a ton of information on the kicking teams.
Mm-hmm.
Only because, like, again, most of the time you have a single kicker.
Yeah.
On a lot of teams, they try to have a single kicker. We've had multiple for the last couple of years because sometimes it's really, like I said, it's really hard to find one player that can
do it all.
So, anyways,
we just scored a touchdown, people. Just in case you were wondering what that
Actually,
random
it was a field goal.
I can't tell what's what with you.
With 8 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. So
anyways, I'm Amy.
I'm Gina.
I'm Dr. Robinson.
And we want to thank you for joining us today, even with all of the current Browns information that was spewed in the middle of everything.
Sorry.
Hey, Browns fans are loyal. What can I say?
I mean, I am too, but at the same time.
I have to say, he was quiet most of the time.
He was.
He quiet most of the
only said things when we needed him to.
We paged him. He answered his pages.
Yes. Sometimes a little too specific to the actual Browns team compared to NFL in general.
Generalized. But
anyway.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Gmail. We would love to hear from you guys. What did you learn that you didn't know? Because I'm sure everybody picked up something from this episode. And then as we get into our defensive positions, we can't wait to hear what you think. So until next time, we'll see you later, humans.